Eastman and Lard's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles issue 2 is a treat for me because it introduces one of my all-time favorite bad guys and arch nemesis in the Ninja Turtles, Baxter Stockman. He is a fucking menace, and he proves it in this issue. And I will show you what I mean. But first, I would like to read the forward on here. They call them turtle tracks because I thought it was interesting. And it's a good piece of history and understanding what was going on during the beginning of Mirage Studios doing the Ninja Turtle comic and what have you. Howdy, folks. Welcome to the third printing of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles number 2. That's what this is. That's you know, there's the cover, which is great. I'll get to that in a second. Book 2. The memories it brings back. Grumble, grumble. You wouldn't believe the hellish path book number 2 traveled along with the artist before it reached you. Shall elaborate. Okay, you talked me into it. To start with, the artists were trying to create a working atmosphere 300 miles apart. All the story and artwork from TMNT number 2 were done through the mail and over the phone. As at the time I was living in the Pine Tree state of Maine, while Peter had taken up residence in the Nutmeg state of Connecticut. This is being written by Kevin. That itself was sheer hell and would never be done again. The difficulty in working that way is one of the major reasons there was such a long time between the publication of number 1 and number 2. Shortly after finishing number 2, I moved to Connecticut. I got there just as the finished books arrived from the printer, who will remain nameless, and to our surprise, not only had used the wrong cover stock, we had asked for the same glossy paper that we'd been used on the number 1 issue, but gave us a matte finish stock instead. But a lot of the inside pages were crooked, which during stitching and trimming caused entire tops of panels to be chopped off in a lot of copies. This is where the fun began. Peter and I had to go through the entire first printing of 15,000 books, one by one, page by page, tossing out the worst and keeping the ones that were still readable. It took days, and the losses were about 2,000 copies. But it was over, or so we thought. TMNT number 2's first printing sold out immediately. We had enough pre-orders returned to press. We went back to the printer and ordered 300,000 or 30,000 more copies of number 2, not 300,000. This was an indie comic, of course. Of number 2, having complete faith that they would do a better job after our rage after the first printing mess. We were wrong. 30,000 books were delivered not only 1 month later than promised, but in the same sad condition the first run. Once again, we had to go through each book and throw away those we found that were chopped panels. Try to imagine thumbing through 1,800,000 pages of black ink on newspaper, and you'll get an idea of how ticked off we were. Needless to say, our printer is still missing. Just kidding. Anyway, things are great now. Southern Duchess News, our new printer, has helped us a great deal with their quick professional service, doing a great printing job, and getting our books shipped out on time. Thanks, guys. I'd also like to extend thanks to Richard Corbin for... Anyway, the rest of it is not really that important, but I just wanted to read that from Kevin Eastman. If you want to know more about it, you can read yourself. I thought that was pretty cool. Also, this page, yeah. Does it look familiar? Yeah. It's this guy. I wanted to wear the shirt until I got to this page, and I'll probably wear another shirt that'll come up in one of the other comics later. Yeah, this book is great because it gives you more of the turtles and who they are. Like, it establishes their personalities essentially, and you get to meet April for the first time. She's another character that they introduce. Let's get into it. So, kiss your butt goodbye. The turtles are hanging out. You get to see them in their natural habitat. Leonardo is reading a book. Donatello is working on his machines as he does, and Raph and Mikey are in a spar because that's what they do. And Raph is just an angry person, and he has to fight at all times. And they cause a ruckus. And while they're doing that, Master Splinter to gets everyone's attention to the TV because there's a news report going on, and the interviewer is interviewing Baxter Stockman about his new Mausers. There he is. That's the guy. He's great. Not really. He's like I said, he's a fucking menace. I don't think they really like. I think some of the cartoons definitely have played him. I don't know. Not necessarily so much as a scary menace as the comic did. Like they made him more of a lackey to other villains, which is what it is. But in here, this guy fucks, and he fucks hard. But you would think he's innocent because he's just a scientist and he has these Mausers that are going to go around and clean up the rat problem that they have in New York in the sewers. But little did they know. Of course, Splinter has a problem with this, being a rat and all. So I can see him being a little worried. Maybe a little bit more too worried. I don't know. I digress. So Mikey and Raph are still sparring, and they break some shit. Splinter's like, I'm gonna go meditate, and Mikey and Raph, you need to clean this up. While he's meditating, it cuts over to Baxter Stockman talking to April O'Neil. Because April works for Baxter Stockman in this capacity. She is an engineer, and she designed the code for the Mausers to work in the first place. And they're going back and forth on this and everything. But April's asking too many questions, of course. And it gets her into a lot of trouble. So Baxter lures her into the elevator, which she brings out a key card that opens another floor that she's never been to before. And she's worried about this. She's like, well, what's going on here? And she goes down, and of course, there's thousands of Mausers that he has collected and built because he's stealing money from banks, essentially. But no one knew that until recent. But yeah, he was basically he took the Mausers that the city funded and used them to tunnel into bank vaults and steal money to build more Mausers because he wants to take over shit. April finds out about this and he tells her all this, and she's like, "Oh, you could do all this and make millions legally. Why are you doing this?" And this motherfucker, he says he's doing it for fun and just starts laughing, like maniacally. I'm really doing this because it's fun. Like look at that guy. He's just living in his own little world, having a great time, because he likes doing bad things. But he can't have April going around telling everyone that he's an evil mastermind, so he sticks his Mausers on her, and she flees. She ends up going into the sewer system. I don't understand how she ends up there. Oh yeah, the elevator. She tries to go in the elevator. She can't go in the elevator, so she ends up going through into the sewers, through the elevator shaft, and escaping. But the Mausers follow her into the sewers. But luckily, lo and behold, our boys show up and take them out. So cool. And of course, much like in the movie, when she first encounters them, she can't handle it and she faints. So they take her back to see Splinter. Splinter explains what the hell what they're doing, who they are, where they came from, and they reference the backstory in the first issue, right there, which we went over in the other video. All right, so now that all this has happened, they're sitting there talking, and the TV comes on, and it's Baxter Stockman, being the menace that he is. I'm going to read this to you because this is fascinating to me. Uh, Greetings, citizens of New York. Who I am is not important. Well, not as important as what I am prepared to do. I went. April chimes in. This is Baxter Stockman. Or my God, that's Baxter. I intend to extort $1 billion from the major businesses of New York City. How do I intend to do this, you say? Simple. By systematically holding hostage every corporate headquarters building in the city. If I'm not paid this ransom, I set for each building I pick, then one by one I will demolish them. The air will shudder with the sounds of tortured, twisted, steel shattering glass and exploding stone. Now just show that Now just to show that I am not jesting, and to show that I am not a cheap kind of guy, I'm going to give you a freebie. I have in my hand a small model of Rex Retzab Retzab. It's RETXAB Retzab building. Anyway, its real life counterpart in downtown Manhattan, vacant except for a few small offices since the previous owners vanished mysteriously while will cease to exist at 3 p.m. today. Sorry, I'm not a supervillain. I'm not good at these things. And he crunches it in his hand, all angry. And tomorrow at 3 p.m., one of the World Trade Center towers will topple unless I am paid $20 million. Not only does he want $1 billion extorted from all the New York businesses, he wants $20 million, or else he's going to destroy one of the trade centers. Diabolical. And that's it. That's where it ends. So the turtle's like, oh shit, we probably should do something about this. Because he's using the Mausers to tunnel underneath all the buildings in the city, so he can literally do whatever the fuck he wants. So, with quick fucking work, these guys, well, actually, no, they don't. They sit for a bit. They wait until the next day, and there's a news report showing the building that he said he's going to blow up. And I was like, oh, it's 303, nothing happened yet. And then it blows up. April cries. She doesn't know what to do. Splinter's like, fuck it. You guys gotta do something. So he sends the Turtles on. And they find Stockman very fast. Well, obviously, April helps them because she worked with them, so she knew how to get into a place and everything. But they get to him with the quickness. Like, it's all in one page, essentially. There's a little scuffle that goes on. He's not really a physical fighter in the beginning, you know. He's more of just a maniacal madman that can control a bunch of machines. But they try to stop him or anything, and he flips a switch that sends all of the Mausers back into his lair to destroy everything. It's a self-destruct switch and everything. To which they don't like that, obviously. So Raphael beats him up, showing his personality that he's the rough nose. What has Donatello's trying to work the machines. He's trying to figure out what's going on. He figures out that they're going to come in through the tunnel, and then they need to blow the tunnel so they can at least slow them down. So the turtles go into the tunnel. They set up some thermite. Is that what they use? No, that was Splinter. What do they use? Explosives. They're just regular explosives. You know, run-of-the-mill things. Well, they blow that shit up, but they still come through. And so they're fighting them tooth and nail. And all the while, Donnie's on the computer with April trying to figure out how to stop them. April's like coming up with spitballing crazy ideas, like, why don't you make a fucking virus program? Donnie says there's no time. I would need more time. And she's like, well, maybe there's a way we can flip the electrical, and that would do it. And he's like, well, we can do that, but they're going to be the last thing that goes offline, so we'll be in the dark until they show up. And hopefully the power will cut out so they will stop working because they run on radio waves. So they try that. as they are slashing everything, killing everything. This is great. This is a great 2 page. Just wrecking shit. I'm getting ahead of myself. Uh, but yeah, they're wrecking shit. Things are shutting down. It's going dark. So we get this cool page where it's going from them all together in light, and the light cuts out, and then you get all the onomatopoeia going in the darkness, and you're thinking, "Oh shit, they're done for." Well, you would be thinking wrong. I guess it worked. Such a cool little story. Also, I would like to note in this printing, which is the third printing, I don't know if I stressed that earlier. When I was reading it earlier, I noticed that there was a typo, which was like, what? That's kind of crazy. Because I didn't see one in the first one. I gotta find it. Here we go, yeah. As you can see, we have constructed this maze. I'm not a stickler for details, but I thought it was that, which is kind of crazy that it says that and went by the editors. I wonder if my other issue has it. I have 2 copies of this. I don't know how I ended up with the second copy. I know where I got this one, but I have a second copy of it. I think someone gave it to me, but it's crazy waterlogged. I have. If anyone's interested in having it, just let me know. I'll mail it to you. If you got issue 4 lying around, I would definitely gladly trade you for it because I do not have that issue. We'll have to figure something out figure something out whenever I get to that video. But I digress again. So back to this one. At the end of this, there is an alternative team up of Turtles with Cerebus, the Aardvark, which is cool. I thought this was great. If anyone has any of these things, I would love to see them. Like, they probably don't exist anymore. But as they made metal miniatures at one point in time that you could mail in and order them from them, which I would have loved to do. Which my parents fucking told me about this shit. And some iron-ons. Like, the iron-ons, I think my mom may have gotten me at one point in time. I know I had some pretty janky looking, like, homemade Ninja Turtle sweaters at some point in time in my childhood. And that very well could have come from this, but I don't know. It's giving them too much credit. Well, it's not that cool. And then we have the introduction of Mirage News. Welcome to the first Mirage Studios news page, and they go over like what's coming out in the next coming of time in 1986, whenever this came out. Another ad for one of their other comics, Gizmo, and then a really strange Ninja Turtle comic, which is basically who's it done by? This guy, Fred Hembick, Words and Pictures. It's very like retro comic page, like some funny magazine stuff. Like that's you would see in the newspaper, like the comic page in the newspaper. It's what it reminds me of, like older stuff like that. But this news reporter is told he works for the Daily Planet, but he doesn't know people. He doesn't know who you think he should know, which is funny. But the interesting thing is they call it the Daily Trump. That's weird, right? The Daily Trump. This Trump's been around too long, unfortunately. Anyway, so this guy is telling his boss he doesn't really want to do it, but he ends up going to do it anyway. He convinces him to with a cigar, but he goes to interview the Ninja Turtles. He doesn't believe it. He thinks that they are a bunch of midgets. Sorry, midgets. Sorry, I don't mean to say that. Little people. I don't know the correct terminology. I'm so sorry. What does he call them? He calls them something like that, and I was very confused because I was like, oh, Okie dokie. Uh, yeah, he gets really upset and he leaves because he really does not believe him because he tells him their origin story, which sounds very far fetched. Yeah, he calls them four midgets. That's why I had that there. Anyway, don't think that's correct, but that's what he calls them in costumes. But yeah, he just doesn't believe them, even though he wouldn't meet them. So as he's leaving, he throws away his notes. And when he throws away his notes, two other guys walk by and happen to pick up his notes, and they're like, hey, "This is cool. We should use this for a comic." Kevin, Peter, alluding to that. That's where the story came from. Anywho, here's another cool pinup page they have in the back. That's cool. I might take that to work and scan it and make a poster out of it. But that was this issue. Thank you for coming along, and I will see you next time. Peace.